Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, we are talking about Fire King once again, this time paired with my favorite deck, Tri-Brigade, or favorite archetype, I guess I should say. If you haven't noticed, Fire King is now out in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and there's a lot of cool things that you can do with Fire Kings. They are fire support, they are tri-type support, they are a deck in and of themselves, and we're going to be exploring those, because honestly, Fire King is incredibly fun. It is one of the most interesting decks that has been released as of late, and the main reason for this is because of the way that they specifically interact. Sure, they have spell trap negates and monster negates with Arvada and Rongbali, but they also do a wide variety of other things that really are very fun and very entertaining, and honestly, if you haven't decided whether or not you want to play the Fire King stuff, this video should hopefully showcase how good they are and how worthwhile they are. Sure, it is very expensive to get the new stuff, and I do not blame you for not wanting the new cards, all of them basically being URs, but hopefully, at the very least, after this video, you'll decide whether or not that is worth the URs, because honestly, it is a very, very fun deck. So, real quick, let's go through the card by card and the explanation. Now, I've already explained the Fire Kings in my previous video, so if you want to take a look at that, you absolutely can, but we're just going to go over the basics here. Ponix searches spell traps. Kieran can special summon itself, and when destroyed, gets to reborn a monster, then pop a card. Arvada is a spell trap negate. Barong I didn't actually talk about, but Barong is a search for any Fire King card during the next standby phase after it's destroyed by card effect, which is very, very useful. And then we have the two Garuniks in here as well, and this card is pretty self-explanatory. Special summons itself while also then popping a card from your deck on summon, and then gaining half of those attack points. Now, I've also talked a lot about Tri-Brigade, so I'm not going to go over them too much here. But we are playing 2 Nerval to search out your Tri-Brigades when sent to the grave, 2 Kits, which sends another card to the graveyard, a Kairos, and a 3 Fractal. Fractal, notably, is a fire, which is very, very useful, so do keep that in mind. Kairos to special summon itself by pitching another one of your Tri-types, and then Fractal to send a Tri-type to the grave. And then they all have, obviously, the effect to banish a number of Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters in order to link summon a monster, but basically forego the link summoning cost and just special summon it to the field. So that's it. We then, of course, have the 3 Ponix, 2 Garuniks, the 3 Kieran, 1 piece of Barong, and Arvada, and that is it for the monsters. Next up, we have ourselves the spell traps. We're playing 2 Fire King Islands as well as 3 Fire King Sanctuary. The main reason for this is because while you may think like, oh, you only need the 1 Fire King Island, or oh, you know, why not play 3 copies of this? First of all, you can search it off of the Fire King Sanctuary as well as off of Ponix, so you have a lot of access to it already, so you don't really need 3 copies. It's kind of a dead draw by itself as well. You really want it specifically with Fire King Sanctuary, so it's better to get it that way. But more importantly, is the fact that you do want 2 copies instead of 1. Main reason in grind games, which this deck gets into quite often due to the way that it plays, you do want to have that second copy so that you actually have access to more of your plays. So there's that. We also have ourselves 2 Tenki in order to search out any of these cards right here, which is very, very useful. Notably, you can search Arvada, which is very nice, because there are a lot of times where search Arvada and then normal summon it to play around Maxi or to play around Ash Blossom or whatever it may be is very useful. So there's that. We're also playing 1 Skyburn, which is very nice as well, being able to pop Fire King monsters, very useful. And that's it for the engine. We're also playing 1 trap, which is the Tri-Brigade Revolt, obviously. So, there you go. That's it for the engine. The rest is non-engine. 3 Amaxi, 3 Ash, 2 Called By, 2 Imperm, 2 Triple Tack. Triple Tack in particular is very, very useful in this deck. This deck has a pretty decent time trying to push through boards, and Triple Tack makes it a lot better. It does have a bit of a weakness to hand traps, most notably things like Ash Blossom, which if you don't have Cross Out, or if you don't have Called By, this just helps with that. I also think Triple Tack just overall is better, so instead of playing the Cross Out, I'm playing that. And then I'm playing the 1 Nib. Nib came up a bunch. It's very useful. As for the extra deck, we are playing 1 of the Garuniks Eternity, which is very, very useful if you end up mostly just ending on the Fire King stuff. And I have a bit of extra deck space, so might as well play it. It never came up for me in particular in this game, or in this play session, but overall, it's still a very strong card. We then have a bunch of the Tri-Brigade stuff, the one Almirage, the one Lightheart, the one Double Dragon Lord, the one Double Dragon Lords, 2 Farajit, 1 Bearbrum, and 2 Shureg, as well as 1 Rugal and 1 Doom Eagle. Pretty standard in terms of the Tri-Brigade stuff. Then we have a bunch of just staples, basically. We have 1 Hita, we have 1 SP Little Knight, we have 1 Apollosa, and 1 Zelantis. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Now, there are a few cards that you could throw in here or there. You could play the 3rd Shureg, if that seems to come up more often. You could play Tri-Heart, which I think is, like, okay, but it's not all that useful. I find it just not really worthwhile to go for, as opposed to a myriad of other things. You could play Simorg, as well as the Apex Avian, to give yourself an Omni Negate, which is fairly decent. You could give yourself... that also plays around... Maxi a bit better, because you can do the whole Fractal line in order to then special summon with Kairos. You get Maxi, they draw a card, and then you give them 2 more draws, basically, but you get an untargetable negate, which is pretty decent. So, it's okay, but yeah, this deck does kind of fold to Maxi. So, you know, why not play the Crossout? Well, again, it's only okay. You could play 41 and play Crossout, but having... It's not as important having all of the answers to Maxi as it is to have consistency and having, like, a decent deck, and, like, you know, a consistency in that regard. So, that's basically it. Yeah. You could also play, like, Promethean Princess. You could play Axis Kotaker. There's a bunch of other options available to you. You don't have to play the new Garunix Eternity. You don't have to play Lightheart. SP is even, you know, something that you don't need to play. So, there's that. Anyway, let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. There you go. Alright, and I mentioned how good these cards are at going second, and yeah, alongside Triple Tack, you'll see how good this is. So we're going second, and we're playing up against Terror Top. Hooray! I love that this card facilitates some degeneracy. Oh, yeah. Look, Terror Top should never have come back to 3, especially in Master Duel. I think that it is a bit ridiculous. But alas, here we are. So my opponent is going to obviously called by me, because why would they not? I lied. So we do negate the Water Enchantress. We can't allow that negate to, or that card to resolve. We can't allow them to get an Omni Negate. They have the Triple Tactics Thrust as well to set the Imperm, which is going to contest our only starter here, which is a bit of an issue, but we'll see how this goes. Out comes the Sprint. They're going to activate the effect of the Sprint. They're going to send Nimble Angler. They're going to go for the effect of the Nimble Angler in order to summon 2. And I have to Nibiru here. Main reason, if they go for the Gigantic, that becomes an issue. I guess I could have waited for the Gigantic, to be fair, and that will end up punishing me later, but... yeah, I forgot that this guy can't be used as link material, and I was like, that's 4! That's Apollosa. They could make Apo, and then they could have still have full combo, but it doesn't end up mattering because my opponent just draws insanely well off of this. I realistically did make a misplay. Should have waited for the Gigantic and waited for it to activate its effect, locking them into 2s. But yeah, 1 for 1 into Prank Kids. By the way, this is 60. They're playing 60 cards. And yeah, now they just get to do a full combo with the Prank Kid stuff because Link 1s are fair and balanced cards, and... No, they're not. I'm lying to you. Link 1s are awful. Link 1s should never be combo starters. They should absolutely only ever have been boss monsters, like the new Charles, the Infernoble. Anyway, bro drew Eschatos and now calls Pyro, which is funny because it's not going to matter. But do keep that in mind. Remember, this guy made Eschatos, and... yeah. Anyway, here comes Gigantic Sprite, and this is where it creates issues. I don't actually think it would have mattered. I believe they were playing 2 of this, so it may not have mattered, but... yeah, whoops. Anyway, out comes Jet. Jet is going to grab starter here. Then they're going to link off, I believe, into the Elf. And then Elf brings back a guy. And, yeah, they bring back Cherubini. They link those 2 off for SP. This is kind of weird. I get what they do, but it's kind of weird what they go for. They go for the SP. They're going to banish here. They're then going to go for the Sprite starter in order to grab up the red. And then out comes the IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena is a really weird choice here. I don't know why we decided to go for it, but sure. Okay, well, let's see what we can do. I draw Arvada, which is fantastic. I'm going to immediately normal summon that. My opponent is going to go for the Sprite Elf. I'm going to go for the Called by the Grave to target the target, to which my opponent will go for the SP Little Knight to banish my Arvada, to which I will then activate my own Arvada. They've already activated they've already met the conditions for triple attack, which is going to be pretty nice here. So they're going to imperm the Arvada because I'm going to negate. I'm like, okay. That's fine, that's fine. There's nothing I can really do about that. So my cards are going to get banished. Or my card is going to get banished, and the imperm resolves. We banish. We called by the elf, and now they don't really have anything. Okay. Well, we still have triple attack, so I'm going to go triple attack take. And my opponent makes the worst decision I've ever seen, activating IP Masquerena into a triple attack. Don't do this. Just let them take the IP Masquerena. It's not going to do anything. What are they going to do with it? Especially since I've already used my normal, and I have one card in my hand. What could it possibly be? Well, nothing, right? Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're making Phoenix? I don't know why Phoenix. Now, you may be wondering, oh yeah, what, we just take Phoenix, we walk over the elf, and then we just pass back with nothing, right? And then we have full combo on the follow-up. Wrong! We can do full combo right now. So I take the red, switch it to attack position, crash, and out comes Ponix. Did you know Ponix has a secret effect, where it says, if your monster that was originally fire is destroyed by battle or card effect, special summon this card from your hand. Coolio. Guess what? Red's fire. Red, Sprite Red, is a fire. Thank you for putting that monster in attack position. I will now proceed to do my full combo, uninterrupted. Thank you. Out comes Garunix. Garunix is going to activate its effect. We could then pitch... we could potentially pop here the Kit. So that's like an option we have available to us. You know, we could go Kit into Kara, or Kit into Nerval, into... I don't know what, Fractal? It doesn't really do anything, so there's no real point in doing that. So instead I'm going to pop here, and we have Arvada that's coming back, so I'm going to pop the Kieran. Kieran would then special summon back, we'd pop the field spell, and then we just kind of proceed from there with an with a spell trap, or a monster negate, as well as an SP that's not really doing anything. So, pretty good. Anyway, there you go. To be fair, my opponent played that pretty poorly, but I also made a big mistake, so good game. Alright, so here we are going first with an interesting hand. Let's see what we can do with this. So we're going to start off here with the Tenki. We're going to activate its effect in order to grab up the Arvada, and then we're going to activate the Fractal effect. We're going to see if my opponent decides to interact with me. They don't. Great. We're going to go for the Kit here. Then they go for the Maxi, and I'm like, oh, not very kind of you. So we're going to Ash here, because Maxi is a fair and balanced Yu-Gi-Oh card that we absolutely have to interact with at every convenient possibility. So there's that. So we're going to go for the Kit here, we're going to dump to the graveyard the Nerval, and then the Nerval is going to add the Karos, because I specifically want a fire here. We're then going to look at the hand and see what we are working with, and guess what? That is 2 negates and 1 starter. Cool. Great. Fantastic. What do I shuffle away? But the Imperm. Why would I do this? Why would I do this? What are you doing? Why not shuffle away the starter? Well... because I have the negate for the starter, so I'm like, yeah, honestly, this is probably better. It's not. This is a mistake. I should have just shuffled away the starter. It's fine. I just normal summon the Arvada, and I'm like, it's fine. I have negate with the Arvada. It should be fine. Also, that Veiler's not really doing anything. So my opponent normal summons their Kautu? I don't know how to say this guy's name. And so I just negate it. Pitching the Fractal. Kinda sucks. Should have grabbed Kit off of the Nerval. Don't know why I didn't. That was kind of silly of me, but alas. I draw the Called By. It'll be fine. We set the Called By. We have Called By Maxi, Arvada. Hopefully we're fine. We just wait for the main phase, and of course my opponent draws Bonfire. Why would they not have drawn Bonfire? Now we know 2 of the cards in the hand, and the last card in the hand, it's not Ash, nor Called By. Trust. Okay, actually, it's fine. It's fine that it's Ash. Because of course they drew Ash. Why would they not have? I have the Called By. Because Called By is a fair, balanced, and interesting Yu-Gi-Oh card, and I'm lying to you. It's actually not. So my opponent does happen to get their Ash negated, and of course they were using the wrong artwork of Ash, because of course they were. And I just top deck the Garunix off of the Poplar, because I'm just better. I'm just better. I'm just better. So I negate. Hooray. No Poplar effect. And we just passed. We just passed. I know the 2 cards in their hand, and yeah, Yeah, you know, sometimes you just top deck better. It really is that simple. Good game. Good game. Alright, here we are going first, and with a pretty decent hand. We're going to start off here with the Fractal in order to dump the kit, because I want the Fire King Island to resolve more importantly, so that's what we're doing here. We grab the Fractal here, and then we're going to go for the Fire King Island. We're going to activate its effect, we're going to pop the Fractal in order to grab up the Garunix, and then we're going to activate the Garunix effect in order to special summon itself. To the which my opponent will go Max C, to the which I will say, yep. Can't really do anything about that. Hip hip hooray. So we're going to special summon out the Garunix here. And I know what you're saying. Oh, why not just pop the Garunix to protect, because I can't do anything. Right? I specifically made this play because I knew my opponent had Maxi. So I just kind of have to do this. I have Skyburn, so at the very least I have the negate and the other thing. So hopefully it's fine. We're going to go for the Bayrong here. We're going to grab up the Kieran, and we're just going to pass back to them. They're going to go for the Planet Pathfinder, and immediately... yeah. It's Horus. It's Horus again. Why would it not be Horus? It's always Horus. It's always Horus. Anyway, they're going to go and activate its effect in order to grab up the Happy, and I'm like, oh, cool, you have Imseti. That's great. Fantastic. So they're going to activate the effect of the Imseti, and I'm like, yep. Now, I know what you're saying. Why not negate that? Why would you not negate that? Why not negate? Because it's not going to do anything. They already got the 2 cards into the graveyard, which is the more important part. So there's that. And I know for a fact they are going to make the dumb decision and activate the King's Sarcophagus before special summoning any of their monsters. Because they're dumb. And people sequence this deck so poorly, it's laughable. So there's that. You know, sometimes you just know your opponent's going to be bad. And look at that. They were. So I go for the Kieran here, and I know what you're thinking. Why go for the Kieran here? Well, it's fine. So, we're going to go for the Arvada here, negating, and then we're also going to chain the Skyburn. And again, this all kind of seems weird. You're like, why are you going for the Skyburn? What are we doing? Okay, so let me explain this sequence. My opponent activates King Sark. I don't want it to resolve. I chain my Kieran because I want it to be on the field for the Skyburn and the Garunix to be in the grave. Okay? The Garunix in grave would then trigger after we use the Skyburn to special summon itself back, while also then popping a card from the deck, right, on summon. And this would also give us the Kieran to potentially bring back the Arvada that we are currently popping, while then also having the ability to pop an additional card. Now, the additional card, it doesn't really matter too much, but that's kind of the idea here, is, hey, we're going to summon this, then we're going to pop a bunch of cards, okay? However, the Maxi kind of challenges this. So instead... when the Maxi comes down after the Kieran effect, I go, okay, I need to negate this, and I already know what I'm going to do. So I negate, and then I go for the Skyburn, doing basically the same thing. We're going to pop these 2, prevent them from getting a guy on the field, hopefully, unless they have the second Sark, which is a possibility. But at the very least, we do have the negate to prevent the Maxi, and the Kieran's going to go to the graveyard, and a whole bunch of things are going to trigger. So that's kind of the idea. We still negate the Maxi, we pop the Kieran nonetheless, and the Kieran is just not going to do anything, nothing's going to do anything there. And then Garunix, Arvada, and the Kieran are all going to trigger. I special summon off of the Arvada, the kit there as well. And you're probably wondering, oh, why is it now that the the Garunix is triggering? Well, because it was in the grave when the Kieran was destroyed. Because it was in the grave from the Skyburn, which was Chainlink 5, and then Chainlink 4, which was Arvada, the Kieran was destroyed. So, in Chainlink 4, Garunix was in the grave already. So, there you go. That was confusing, but hopefully it made sense. Anyway, out comes Garunix. Garunix is going to pop the Ponix because I don't really need the effect of anything, and I've already activated my my Kieran. Also, Kieran popped the Barong, which was already in grave, so we specialed it and then just popped it. And of course, they had the second King Sark. And Secret Village. Whoa, Secret Village. Now, remember, Secret Village only prevents you from activating spell cards, so that doesn't matter. Smile. They also walk into my Garunix, which I just don't really see being a good play. I don't know why we did this, but okay. Anyway, out comes Skill Drain. But like bad Skill Drain. Also, notably, both of these cards activate. Both Ponix and Barong activate in the standby phase. So, there's that. Now, notably, this only stops cards on the field, which means these two. So, keep that in mind. So we're going to start off here with the Fire King Island. Yes, I can use the effect because it's already been activated. Anyway, we pop a card, we pop the Kieran, and the Garunix is going to trigger here. We're also going to trigger the Kieran to special summon out the Arvada and pop the King Sark. And since these guys can't activate, we're doing pretty good. Now, I had to think about this for a long time. So the play here is very interesting. The play is summon Karos and Fractal to link off into Bearbrum. Now, Bearbrum is going to be linked off into the Rugal, and I know what you're thinking. Why did we not keep the Garunix? Why aren't we doing anything with this? Like, why couldn't we could have gotten an additional guy onto the field with, like, Eponyx, you know, or something along those lines. But the main reason for this is because we need to get the Revolt, and we need to have enough materials for Revolt, or zones for Revolt. Now, to be fair, I have Bearbrum, so, like, I could have just had 3 zones and it would have been fine, but for the most part, this is pretty good. So we're going to link off all of those guys in order to go into the Shureg, and then Shureg is going to activate, and notably, I didn't know how this card worked, so I do actually chain here the Rugal, which is the wrong thing to do. I should not have done this. I'm a goofball, I'm a goofy goober, and I didn't understand how these cards work. So Power Sink Stone is just going to now become Skill Drain, because I activated 2 cards. Oops. Now, notably, this is still fine, because for the most part, this Power Sink Stone is actually helping us more than it's helping them. So, there's that. They're going to go to combat and walk over the Rugal, because they do not know how cards work. And then also walk over the Arvada, because again, they do not understand how cards work. So, out comes the Kieran, out comes the Garunix, and yeah, okay. Out comes Kieran. Out comes Garunix. We're going to activate the effect of the... Oh, we can't activate the effect of the Garunix. And then the Kieran is going to be destroyed during the end phase, except for the fact that I'm stupid and activate the Skyburn effect, which is silly, but it doesn't really matter because at that point I have well over lethal. I can just, you know, special summon literally anything or, yeah, basically do anything and just kill my opponent. So, there you go. Die. Good game. Alright, and here we are back with the deck, and yeah, Tri-Brigade is pretty good alongside the Fire King stuff, and the Fire King stuff is, synergizes so very well with the Tri-Brigade, and it just makes the deck so much more fun. Now, is this the best version of Tri-Brigade? I still think the Sprite version may be a little bit better, but it's hard to say. The Fire King stuff is absolutely insane and allows for going first and going second, but the biggest issue is that you have a lot more of a weakness to Max C as opposed to with the Sprite stuff. You still have the ability to play a lot more hand traps, as well as you don't quite die as easily to Max C due to just having the ability to, like, normal summon a guy and then your opponent not Max C you and then special summon out 2 guys for free. Whereas everything here is an activated effect, which means they're more likely to max you. That's kind of it. It's not necessarily exactly perfect, but you get the idea. So overall, I don't know. Sprite Tri-Brigade's still very good. This version is still very good. They're pretty similar. However, the Fire King stuff is very worth it. I think this is some of the most fun Yu-Gi-Oh! You can currently be having, or be playing, which honestly is saying a lot because right now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of terrible. It's not very fun. A lot of times, it's mostly just comparing hands. Do you have more hand traps? Do you have the Max C? Do you have the better hand? Okay, cool. I just win the game. Great. Snake Eyes has kind of really solidified that kind of idea in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's just, hey, have the out. Oh, you don't? Great. Now, this was already a problem prior to Snake Eyes, so I'm not saying that, like, this is inherently Snake Eyes' fault, but with Snake Eyes being around and being more prevalent, it has made a lot of other decks and a lot of other strategies feel very similar, where it's might as well go balls to the walls combo and just forego interacting in any capacity, really. So, there's that. However, the Fire King stuff is very much so the opposite. You do have to play the game, and it's very cool because of that. So, there you go. Yeah, I like the Fire King stuff. I think they're all very, very fun, and they're all very cool in the way that they choose to play the game, basically. The interactions with, like, card destruction and the way that they work. The fact that you can trigger all of these during, like, damage calculation is very, very nice. Just by running in a fire monster, you just go, pop, pop, here's a bunch of guys. And can you deal with them? No. Oh my god, lol. Die. Which is very fun. Anyway, that's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. And if you did, a like is very much appreciated. If you want to check out more content like this as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.